Welcome to the Prefessional Podcast, episode number 9. This is going to be fairly short, kind of quick. I just want to cover a few things, especially with everything that's kind of going on with like the War Within and then the channel. So like all the other podcasts, everything's going to be listed down below in the description. You can skip ahead to whatever part you want to listen to. So we'll start off with just the channel and going on over like what some of the stuff that's getting ready to happen with the channel itself. Future videos. The next video that is actually coming out, I plan on having it at the latest next week, is going to be strictly based on gear progression, whether it be retail or classic, and then my personal take and opinion on what I think the gear system should be inside of WoW. It's a little different than like some of my normal videos, so it's taken me a little bit longer to like perfect the script, and I think I'm kind of at a somewhat happy place with it now. So like I said, I plan on having that out next week at the latest. After that, I'm going to be creating a healing video. I'm going to be doing 2 videos, just like I did with the tanking series. One's going to be a basics guide for brand new healers, and then the second guide will be a much more advanced, in-depth kind of guide, just general healing overall, not related to any specific class, spec, or anything like that. After that, I will be putting out a VRising review video. Again, I can't stress VRising. I had a blast playing with it. I've still been playing with it in some of my free time that I have. Very good game. Well worth the money. I think it's like $30, and I actually have a link. You can check one of my videos. It's like 10% off if you use my link as well. So it saves you a little bit more, but top tier ARPG. I'm going to put out a VRising video reviewing it, later on too. Don't have an exact date for that. That's somewhere in the middle of all the other videos that are coming out. Aside from that, I'll be putting out a War Within video. The beta, however you want to say it, starts tomorrow. So hopefully I'll have some time that I can jump into it and play around with a little bit. I'll put out some videos about the beta as well. And just kind of like give my overall thoughts and opinions on it once I kind of get into like the whole, system. I don't think they're actually going to be doing, I don't want to get into that. Anyway, so War Within will be also coming out, and then I'll be doing later on, before the War Within comes out, I'll be doing a DragonFlight review, breaking down the expansion itself and what I think about it. I did it for Shadowlands, which wasn't super in-depth because I didn't play much of Shadowlands, but I'm going to be doing one for DragonFlight as well. Okay, so now let's jump into some of the more stuff. Let me talk real briefly about the War Within. The beta starts tomorrow. Like I said, it starts tomorrow. I'm going to be playing it when I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream any of that or not, at least in the next couple weeks. I don't think my schedule is going to align for that. So there probably won't be any live streams of the beta until later on. But I'm going to get into it. I'm going to play it. I'm going to level it. I'm going to hit max level. They have at least, I want to say they have almost all of the dungeons. I'm not 100% certain. I know they have like 6 different dungeons that we can run in the beta. Don't know if that's all of them or not. I can't remember if they're releasing all of them or not for the beta. Anyway, none of the raids are going to be available for the beta unless they change that. At least starting off, they're not going to do anything for that. So regardless, I'm going to jump into it. I'm going to hit max level. I want to run some of the dungeons. I want to get like an overall feel for what World of Warcraft is going to be like in the next 2 years. And then I'll put out a video covering a lot of the stuff that I find, some of my thoughts and opinions, and kind of breaking down what I'm seeing as far as, what War Within is entailing and how I think it's going to be. So that's going to be coming up. Let me know down if you're playing the beta. Should be fun. Who's not excited? Season 4, honestly, like season 4, I'll jump into some season 4 stuff here, because I've been experimenting. So season 4 with DragonFlight, I actually got I'm bored of WoW, honestly. That's kind of why the content has been so sporadic, and kind of like off cadence as opposed to like every week, every 2 weeks kind of thing. It's just because it's season 4. There's nothing new. I mean, just to put it bluntly, there's no real need. There's no real want to like grind mythics. There's no desire to grind the Vault and Abris and Amir still again. I've raided the hell out of all the raids. I don't want to go back through them just because they're now awakened. It doesn't offer anything new. So honestly, season 4, I've just been really bored. The DragonFlight dungeons are great and everything, but I've used them to level. I ran the hell out of them in season 1. Season 4 just seems like a complete wash and a waste of a season in my opinion. So I'm not having a lot of fun with it in terms of like the in-game content. So I haven't bothered with it. That's kind of really what it is. It's just there's no desire to play it because there's no real reward for it. Just waiting for the War Within. with that being said, I did actually level up my priest. So for those of you who know about me and who've watched me, who've played me, or who've watched me play and things like that, you know that I have, my main is obviously a tank. I'm a Death Knight. That is my main character. That will always be my main character. I will always be a tank. That is my go-to class, my go-to character when I want to play WoW. Death Knight. And I want to tank. I honestly couldn't even tell you the least bit about the Unholy or Frost rotation or their abilities because I literally don't play them. I tank. That's where my passion is. When I'm kind of tired of that and I want a little bit of a change up, I actually prefer to heal. So my second main character was a Resto Druid. I played a Resto Druid all the way back in Wrath. I loved it. So that was kind of like my always go-to. One of the classes that has always intrigued me was a priest. I've always wanted to play a priest, but I never actually got to the point of leveling one. So I took it upon myself, since I'm kind of bored of season 4. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and level up my priest. I'm going to get him into max level, and I'm going to check out, the priest healing. Priests are very strong. They're, borderline meta class every once in a while, fairly frequently, at least compared to other classes, especially compared to Resto Druids, because we kind of get shit on. But I was like, yeah. So let's level up a priest. Let's play, we'll run some dungeons and stuff. So I started running some dungeons, started really enjoying it. I'm playing Holy. I haven't really, dove into like the whole discipline yet. But I've really enjoyed Holy. I leveled up. I started running mythics, and I actually completed my very first normal raid last night, actually, as a Holy Priest. And I've got to say, being, cause see, there's two different kinds of healers inside of WoW. Okay. And if you don't play a healer, you're not going to really understand. If you do play a healer, you will. So I'm going to kind of explain it just a little bit, just briefly. There's two kinds of healers, and well, there's technically three kinds. Okay. So you have reactive healers, and then you have proactive healers. Pretty much all healing is trying to be proactive, but you have classes that are much more proactive as opposed to reactive. So for instance, a Resto Druid is a very proactive healer because our Resto Druid's heals are not super strong other than like Swiftmend. Like Swiftmend is like our big heal, right? And it's not really even that much of a big heal. So with a Resto Druid, you're basically throwing hots out like all over the place. So you're just healing people over time, like periodically, and you build your hots up to you're ramping your hots basically. So, when big damage is coming, you start throwing out your hots all over the place, that way they start ticking and health and things like that. So you're very proactive. You're very, very proactive because you don't have a lot of reactionary spells. So I wanted to go a much more reactive route, and a priest is a very reactive healer, much more so than a druid. So, it's much more of like damage is here now, I go ahead and heal it, or damage is coming here, so now I can go ahead and heal it, as opposed to like, okay, I know damage is getting ready to come here, I need to prep for that. So very much, I can honestly say the play style of a Holy Priest, in my opinion, has been much more enjoyable, but it could also be just because it's like a lot more fresh now for me, is much more enjoyable than a Resto Druid. I actually feel like during an oh shit moment, like I have a lot more control as opposed to my druid where I didn't. Like if an oh shit moment happened, like if somebody hit like if I had two players that like, in a Mythic Plus, I'll just use that as an example. Two players in Mythic Plus, they basically fuck up and they get, almost one shot. I'm kind of screwed. Like I can save one, like one of you guys, you're good. I got you. But there's a good chance number two, you're probably going to die or be very close to death. It's much harder to react to an instantaneous situation like that, as opposed to on my healer. Like if I have two people that fuck up a mechanic and like are almost like gone, I've got them both like back up to 75% in 2 GCDs, which is, it's just it's much more like, you feel like you are able to. The best way that I can put it is, so like a Resto Druid, you're kind of at the mercy of your teammates. So if your teammates are bad, you have to either be super proactive, which is not mana friendly, or you kind of just have to, like, it's like a 50-50, like I'm going to save him or he's just fucked, right? So with a priest, I feel like if I'm playing with players that aren't as good, I have a little bit better of a toolkit to make up for that without having to be so mana intensive. So if somebody gets, like I said, if somebody fucks up, I have an ability that I can immediately react and get them topped back up to help compensate for their lack of skill, which is something I like. That's why I play tank. That's why I play healer, because tank and healer are the two most important roles in the game, arguably. And when they're played bad, it's very noticeable. So when you put yourself in that situation to play a crucial role, I know my ability. I know how I can play. I'm not saying that I don't make mistakes. I make mistakes, obviously. But, I feel I'm much more confident in my ability than I am in somebody else's. So that's all I wanted to say. And I wanted to end on, I at least want to end on the add-on on the healing. So I recently switched over to Cell, and this is a fairly new-ish add-on, I guess. I hadn't really heard of it until just recently, which is kind of weird. But so I'm used to using Healbot. That was my go-to healing add-on. Healbot. I dabbled a little bit with like Voodoo and Click. But Voodoo just seemed really, I don't know. I'm sure it's fine once you get used to it, but it just seemed overly complex for what it was. Anyway, I went with Cell, started using Cell, and I've got to say, it is a phenomenal add-on. I actually posted about it on the community page with a link to it. Maybe I'll link it down here in the podcast as well. Cannot recommend Cell enough. It has a built-in click addition, so you can set hotkeys for your mouse, but like all mouse buttons. So it's basically click rolled into the raid frame add-on with Cell. And again, you have a lot of control over the frames as far as what shows, how it shows, things like that. I can't stress enough, if you're getting into healing now, or even if you have been a healer, check it out. It's very well worth it. And somebody mentioned about like, mouse over macros and things like that. Like you shouldn't need it. I agree with you. I still use mouse over macros for my healing spells. So like there's certain things that don't show up. A prime example of this, and I found this out last night, kind of screwed me a little bit, but I managed to make it work. But with Fire Rack and the phase 3, when you're having to heal the spirits that are walking towards, a Mirdrasil, those frames did not show up with Cell. They don't show up on Healbot either. But like, for instance, Larodar, when you're doing the treants and the seed, those party frames actually showed up. So I'm not sure if that's just like a graphical interface thing or what. I'll have to look into it to see if I can change it or whatever. But anyway, that was the only downside. I still use mouse over macros because they're what you need to use. But the raid frames addition with Cell is just phenomenal, and it takes up so much less space than say Voodoo or Healbot. Much less intensive on your CPU, better performance in game. Actually, let me talk about another add-on. I just switched up. I've been a DBM user ever since it came out, but that's just because, and I never switched because that's just what I was always accustomed to. I actually switched last night to BigWigs and LittleWigs. I'm going to go ahead and say it. BigWigs is superior to DBM. The thing I don't like about DBM is DBM doesn't. It doesn't. I feel like it's not as, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not as like forthcoming with information. Like it shows your timers and it'll tell you, it'll be like taunt now, move, like it just yells things at you. Right. So it's not you have to know what's going on. Otherwise it just tells you to do shit. And you're kind of like, what the fuck is it telling? Why am I taunting? What's his stacks at? Things like that. With BigWigs, I noticed that it's much less. It doesn't do the whole yelling at you thing, which is really nice. It actually took me getting used to it a little bit because it was making like little tiny sounds that I could pick up. And I was just kind of like, I'm not used to that. I'm used to hearing like dong, dong, all the loud noises and shit like that. BigWigs, cannot stress enough how much of a great addition that was. Oh God. Sorry, it's first thing in the morning. Coffee is like necessity. Death Wish coffee. I was holding this up like it has an emblem on it. It doesn't have an emblem on it. This is my vehicle cup. I got it when I bought my car. Anyway, Death Wish coffee. One of the strongest coffees in the world. I actually probably should fact check that. Anyway, I love it. I drink it plain. I drink it with creamer. I drink it as cold brew, hot. I drink it every day. I've been drinking Death Wish coffee for like 4 years. Could not recommend it enough. I'm an affiliate with them. If you're interested, links to those are down in the description. It gets you like 15% off your first order. I do subscribe and save, so I get like 4 pounds of coffee delivered every month. Anyway, what the fuck was I saying? BigWigs, Little Wigs. If you're kind of, I just want to put it out there. Try out BigWigs, disable DBM, see if you like it. It's so much less like in your face, loud and screaming at you, and much more like in control and just kind of letting you know what's going on. So especially as a tank, I can't stand, and this is kind of what like swayed me away from DBM. I'm a tank. Okay. Tanks are OP. Let's just say it as it is. Pretty much all the bosses, you don't have to swap at whatever stacks that, you know, is kind of suggested. You can go more. Let's be real, right? So it's annoying when, like, for instance, let's say you're doing Igira, right? Okay. And you're off tank, you know, the main tank right now, he hits 6 stacks. I think DBN immediately starts screaming at you like taunt, like as soon as taunt. You don't need to, bro. You can take those stacks and like, especially as a death knight, I can take those stacks up to like 15, like, and still be like chugging along, right? That's on heroic. Like I'm not bullshitting you with like, you know, I don't know what it is on mythic. I'm not a mythic raider. I only know heroic, but you know, mythic 15 stacks, whatever, bro. I can shrug that shit off. I'm healing through it. So with BigWigs, it doesn't do that, right? So once the guy hits it, once he gets hit, it says has a stack. So-and-so has a stack. So-and-so has 3 stacks. So-and-so has 4, 5, 6. That's all it does. It doesn't yell at you to taunt, which is a very nice change up and it's very refreshing to have. So keep that in mind, especially if you're as a tank. It lets you, you're just not bombarded with shit, honestly. And it's a lot more descriptive in my opinion. Can't stress it enough. All right. So I've talked about a lot of stuff with that. You know what? I want to talk a little bit about VRising. Let me sit back a little bit here. By the way, if you noticed, the beard has been shaved, going with a different look now. So, you know, I am the same person. I am the professional, just, you know, I'm a little bit more cleaned up. I've kind of gotten over the whole beard thing. That's a whole nother story in itself. See, the reason I even grew a beard was because I used to be in law enforcement. So, I was a cop for 10 years. I got into it not long after I got out of high school, fell in love with it, and just stay with it. So, but unfortunately, our department here, super old school, they don't like change, which is one of the reasons I left. But they did not allow facial hair. So basically, I started losing my hair, as you can see, obviously, bad receding hairline, and I was like, "Fuck, bro." So I started buzz cutting it. And I was able to start growing a beard. But then, of course, I got into law enforcement. I couldn't have a beard, so I ended up having to always shave it. So I always went bald. And I said if I ever got out of law enforcement, I was going to grow one hell of a beard. And that's exactly what I did. So as soon as I got out of law enforcement, which is a whole nother story itself, I could ramble on for like hours about that, talking about stories and how I got out of it, because it wasn't a very good situation at all. Very toxic situation. Anyway, which I've thought about doing a podcast on that before. Just kind of like breaking everything down, not only just to like tell my story, but probably as like somewhat of like a self-heal, if that makes any sense, because like there's so much trauma and shit with that. It's insane. But anyway, toxic environment, got out of it. I'm in school, getting my bachelor's next year. So I let the beard grow, but honestly, I just kind of got tired of taking care of it. I couldn't get it to exactly how I wanted to. You know, I was going to kind of like braid it and have like a Viking beard and things like that. But, you know, it just didn't work and I got tired of it. So I think this is going to be a much more normal look now. I just need to shape it up a little bit more. But overall, this is what you're going to see from now on when I'm doing videos, podcasts, and things like that. All right. So same person. Anyway, let me talk a little bit about VRising. What are we? Jesus Christ. This is a 20-minute video. So this is going on a little bit longer than I thought. So I do apologize. I was trying to make this a little bit quicker. I thought it was going to be quick. I rant. Apologies. Anyway, let me talk about VRising. Okay. Before I talk about VRise, yeah, no, I'm just going to go ahead and I'll outro like normal. So I know a lot of you guys play WoW, so it's not really something you're interested in. But look, I just got to say, okay, I'm a huge ARPG fan. I actually got playing Lost Ark not long ago. Well, it's been a long ago now. It's been like 3-4 years, I guess. You can check out my channel. I started doing Lost Ark videos. I fell in love with the game. Okay. I've always been a ARPG enjoyer. The very first one that I ever played that I can recall was Diablo, and fell in love with the game. Diablo 2 is one of my most favorite games ever. Like, I probably played that almost as much as WoW. I probably have like 700 hours in Diablo 2. Like, no fucking joke. Love the game. Anyway, Diablo 3 came out. And if you played Diablo 3, you know all about that clusterfuck of a game that happened, and it put a really bad taste in my mouth. I still love the game. I still played the hell out of it, but it was a mess. It was a mess. So kind of put a sour taste in my mouth. For whatever reason, I never got into Path of Exile. I just kind of went down. I just kind of like honestly, Diablo 3 took me out of like the ARPG market like completely. I was like, fuck it. My favorite franchise has been like, just disrespected. So just fuck it. I'm just going to go something different. So I went down like a completely different route and things like that. Anyway, never played Path of Exile. Should have, but it's too late at this point. I'm really not worried about it. Anyway, Lost Ark came out free to play. I was like, yeah, this is a hugely popular game. A lot of people are excited about it. I'm going to check it out and play it. So I played it, fell in love with Lost Ark. Then they went just hardcore, like cater to the whales, pay to win. And I said, okay, well, fuck this game now, right? So no longer worried about that. Anyway, but Lost Ark got me back into World of Warcraft because of like the whole MMO aspect and things like that. And I was like, bro, I miss WoW. So I'm going to go back to it. So I went back to it. Anyway, I've been waiting. I watched, I reacted to Diablo 4. I was kind of excited about Diablo 4, but I was a little skeptical about it because of what happened with Diablo 3. So I did not pre-order it. I did not buy it. I waited, and then I saw it come out. And, it wasn't really received very well. So it really tempered my expectations, and it dialed me back. And I was like, okay, until Diablo comes back on the price, I'm not going to play Diablo 4. I'm just not, I don't feel like blowing my money on it and being disappointed again. So anyway, I've been watching like game trailers and highlights and things like that. So, VRising, and Jesus, I'm so sorry. I forgot who made the game. VRising. Fuck me, bro. I'm sorry. Give me just a second, okay? Come on, bro. Hurry up. Where do you find Stunlock Studios? Okay, so Stunlock Studios, which is the game studio that made VRising, reached out to me and they were like, hey, we saw your channel. We like your content. Would you be interested in playing VRising? And I was like, sure. Why not? Right? I'll do it. And they were like, okay, we'll give you a review copy. We'll give you a review copy, send it to you. We just require that you put out a video about VRising, within the next 60 days. So you have to put out some content, make sure you tag it, things like that. So that's what I did. There was no other stipulations. I don't accept games that require me to talk about like if I can't critique a game, I will not accept a game key. I've had a few studios that have reached out to me and been like, yo, we think you'd be interested, but here's some of the guidelines. And I'm like, no. Because if you're reaching out to me and saying, hey, this thing is still kind of under works, we don't want you to talk about it. Like you can talk about the rest of the game, but this one section or this one mechanic or this one feature you can't talk about, I'm not a fan of. You're not gonna stop me from giving my opinion. So that's one of the crucial things that I have in terms of, reviewing games. No stipulations with them. Just, hey, please put out a video in the next 60 days, put out some content about it and help bring some traffic to it. And I was like, absolutely, picked it up. So I accepted it because the game intrigued me. It's vampires. It's an ARPG. It's supposed to be somewhat challenging and things like that. I cannot stress enough how good of a game it is. Like, VRising is one of the best games I have played in the past. Oh my God, dude. I don't even know. Like, like easily within the past 5 years, it has been the best game I've ever played. Yeah. Yeah. I will confidently say VRising has been the best game I have ever played in the last 5 years. Like, hands down. It's an ARPG. It's very challenging. This is not a game that you can just hack and slash your way through. You just you just run through mobs and shit. Like, every pack is satisfying to kill. The bosses are so well done, and they are all unique. All of the bosses are fucking unique. They all have their own mechanics. The mechanics are telegraphed like so clearly. And like, if you get hit, there's only been like a couple of times where I actually felt like, yo, I didn't get hit by that. But 99% of like all of the mechanics, like if I got hit or if I died, I'm like, yeah, I fucked up. Like, I deserve that. The combat is so satisfying. It is so goddamn good. And I'm playing it on like the normal difficulty. And like the bosses, especially if they are higher gear levels than you, can very easily like 2 to 3 shot you, like almost instantaneously sometimes, depending on if they catch you in like one of their lethal attacks. Anyway, the progression system, so VRising is single player, but you can also do multiplayer where you can either PvP against other people and like raid their bases and shit, or you can work together. It's just the progression system is so well done. Everything is spaced very appropriately. You have to farm for materials, so you have to do a little bit of grinding, but it's not that tedious because there's different ways of doing it. So you can get materials, you can go out and harvest materials like out in the wilderness and find them, or you can just go to a fucking town, kill everyone and raid everything and take it. There's like different ways to handle things or different ways to get materials. Some materials obviously can only be found in like towns and on people and certain mobs, things like that. But overall, the grind never really felt bad. Honestly, I think like the only time that it felt bad is when you're trying to build your castle, because it does require quite a bit of resources depending on how big of a castle you want. I am a person that goes big. So like, it took me quite a while to farm enough materials in order to build my castle, which was kind of annoying. But I'll just say it. I ended up like kind of cheating on that aspect. I started using the console commands. I was like, bro, I'm not going to go farm, 9,000 pieces of stone and 9,000 pieces of wood. I'm just going to console, give me that. Thank you. And then I built my castle. But the progression system with how you unlock things from each boss is so well. It is so good, bro. Like I've spent, I think I have like 80 hours in VRising right now. And honestly, I'm not the least bit bored with the game. Like, at all. It is a single player game. By the time I beat VRising, I'm probably going to have like 300 hours in the game. It's so good. I cannot fucking stress it enough. Like I said, the only downside was a little bit of the grinding and things like that. But overall, like the attacks and abilities that you get, I kind of wish that you could get like one more spell so that you could use like 3 spells and an ultimate. But it is what it is. It's just so good. I can't stress it. If you love action RPG games and you play Diablo 4 and you've been upset with Diablo 4, I know season 4 for Diablo 4 has been like really, really good and been well received. But if you want to try a different ARPG, VRising is top fucking tier, and it's not $70. It's $30. And if you use my code, I think you get like 10% extra off. I can't stress it enough. Like, I normally never say this. Like I don't know the last game that I was just like, bro, like it's fucking legit. But like VRising, in my opinion, should win ARPG of the year. Hands fucking down. Like if there's another ARPG that comes out this year better than VRising, I'm probably going to fucking like lose it, bro. I'm going to like literally going to just, it's going to like just, if you get what I'm saying. Like like it is that damn good. So if you like games, if you like ARPGs, try it out. I swear to God, you're not going to be disappointed. So that's it. Podcast went a lot longer than I thought. I'm so sorry. I fucking ranted. That's what I do. I fucking rant. So podcast episode number 9 is in the books. Thank you guys. Thank you to all the viewers. Thank you to all the subscribers. Appreciate you guys. If you're interested in supporting the channel, the best way to do that is to like the videos and to subscribe to the channel. Liking the videos, commenting, pushes the videos up in the algorithm, gives me more exposure, and more exposure is a good thing. You know, I don't do this for money by any means. I do it because I love doing it, honestly. And I like helping people. So, but the extra money doesn't hurt. The extra money always goes back into the channel, just as a disclaimer there. So with actually, let me just, I want to say thank you guys to everybody who has been watching. I did have a great payout this last month. Thank you guys for the channel members. You guys are legit. You are consistent. Like that is consistent. Like I know it's a penny, bro. I mean, it's not a penny. It's $1, bro. Channel members, it is only $1. $1 a month. It gives you early ad-free access to all of my long form videos. A video gets posted on my page. There's no ads on it. And it sits there for like a couple days and then it goes public. If you want to watch videos without ads, as soon as they come out from the channel, become a channel member. It's the best way to do it. There's also some like behind the scenes kind of stuff. If you're interested in that, like as far as like what my setup is. And then I talk about some other stuff like that. Anyway, what I was getting to was you guys that are channel members. Thank you guys so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. Like seriously, each one of you, it's phenomenal. It's something I never thought I would ever see, as a YouTube creator. So thank you guys. And, everybody who watches videos, you know, like I said, the revenue that comes to the channel, right? The revenue that comes into the channel goes back to the channel. That's what it is. It is powering my hobby to create videos. And with the last payout, I was able to secure myself for an entire year of Adobe. For those that don't know, Adobe, I use Premiere Pro, I use Photoshop, but I was using like Photoshop and Premiere Pro from like 2012, 2013, super old. Okay. Like super old, just because that's what I had and I couldn't afford to buy the software. It's you know, I just couldn't. So I used the old software that I already had and that's what I've been using. So with the last payout, I just upgraded massively. I secured a year of Adobe software. So the brand new Premiere Pro, the brand new Photoshop, the brand new After Effects, media encoders, like everything. And with all of their AI capabilities, I'm still getting used to it, but overall, this should not only increase the quality of my videos, but it should help me speed up the process and, you know, with like making stuff and things like that. So again, I just wanted to let you guys know, like, I don't do this for money. And the money goes back into this channel. And I always like to be very transparent with like what I'm spending my money, like what I'm spending the YouTube funds on. And that is one of the things that I spend it on. That is what I spend it on this time. So Adobe, thank you guys so much. Like, it's massive for the channel. Like, you don't understand like what happens behind the scenes and things like that. So just know it's a fucking huge, big deal. It's great. I think, you know, quality, like I said, is going to definitely start improving a little bit more. And yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you to everybody. Prefessional Podcast, episode number 9, signing off. I'll see you in the next one.